Now, when you're in an environment where you have this many crises that you can't fix, my landscape, geopolitics, same thing, right? I mean, it feels like leaders are being less strategic. They're being buffeted, as you say, they're thinking forward maybe a year if they're lucky, but they're not really thinking about the long-term futures of their organization. Am I just making that up, or is that reflected in your reality?
I'm seeing the same thing, and it's ironic because you come to Davos and you think this is the power center of the world, and yet for me the overwhelming feeling is powerlessness. That you talk to CEOs who say, I'm powerless to save democracy, I'm powerless to prevent climate change, I'm powerless to do anything about the AI changes that are about to transform my work in ways that I can't anticipate. And I think a lot of them don't know what to do in the long term, and so they're focused on quarterly returns and problems that are immediately solvable.
CEO is a job that is very highly compensated, but they don't last very long. They're working incredibly hard hours. They're increasingly not liked in their workforce. And as you say, they're running for like very, very short-term gains. Is there any sense that maybe they should be trying to change some of those incentives, some of those motivations?
I've heard more discussion about it this year than ever in the past. So CEO burnout rates have gone up. We've also seen a growing disinterest in leadership jobs from Gen Z and a little bit millennials too, saying, why would I want to do that? It's a ton of responsibility. It's not clear how much good I can do. It's going to wreak havoc on my life. And yeah, I'm getting more and more hate from pretty much any corner of the world when I make a big decision. I don't think anybody's thought systematically about how we change that dynamic, but I think one thing I would love to see is I'd love to see more co-CEO structures. Which is not that common, but there's...
It's very uncommon. Wait, give me, what's an example? What's one of the best examples that people might have heard of?
Warby Parker is an easy one.
Mm-hmm. The eyeglass company.
Yeah. Neil and Dave co-founded the company together. They've been co-CEOs from day one. And there's actually some research showing that if you look at matched pairs of companies that are in similar industries with similar financial positions, co-CEO structures actually outperform when you look at their financial returns. And I think the job is just so big and so complex that it's hard for one person to have all the skills that you need. And this is a little more in your world, but I've wondered if we're going to have co-presidents, co-prime ministers one day.
I don't see any move towards that, in part because in political power, things are so much more zero-sum, right? It's hard to do coalitions in that environment. Is it, I mean, in the sense that, the only way you were going to get consensus is if you shared the responsibility. Now, Warby and Parker, I assume those aren't actually two people, or are they? No, I'm just making that up.
Just branding.
But how do they actually share?
Well, they divide and conquer on some areas of expertise, kind of like you would expect a CEO to do with a president or a COO. But
is one of them really in charge, though?
No, that's what's interesting about it. Yes, they actually sit down and make all their important decisions together.
Wow.
And they don't always agree, but at the end of the day, they want to be aligned.